I've always said that when it comes to my star players being linked with moves to other teams around Europe, I'm never worried. Because in my opinion, when you're at Real Madrid, this is the pinnacle of the sport. It doesn't get any higher than this. So anywhere else that you go is an automatic downgrade. And this is not me saying that there isn't elite clubs around Europe. Of course there are. You got teams like Barca, Man City, PSG, Bayern, Chelsea, Liverpool, just to name a few. But none of you guys, in my opinion, are a threat. If I have a player that's a key member of my starting 11 and is somebody that we actually rely on and is somebody that the club actually want to keep, I don't believe there is a team in Europe that can actually take one of my players. Now, what does worry me is Saudi Arabia. Not because I view any of their teams as amazing or attractive, but they have something that these European clubs do not. And that is the money to pay these star players ridiculous wages. We've seen Saudi Arabia over the last few seasons. They've entered the transfer market and they're spending money like it's going out of style. You see the wages that those players are on. Ronaldo is getting paid like $300 million a season. Look at Conte, Benzema, Riyad Mahrez, right? Look at the deals that they're on. Look at the money that Neymar got. And with the money that they're able to offer these big European players to come and join their clubs, it has to make anybody nervous. Because we're not talking about 20 million. We're not talking about 50 million a year. No. We're talking about deals that are so ridiculous that you have to think, how are players even rejecting this? I'm seeing some of these big players in Europe get offered a total package of $1 billion for 4 or 5 years. No teams in Europe can compete when it comes to the wage and the financial packages that these Saudi clubs can offer. And the reason that we're talking about this is because Vinicius is once again being linked with a move to a club in Saudi Arabia. And this is coming from a tier 1 journalist. It's not just some made up rumor from some weird source. No. This story actually has legs to it. You guys know what I say. When there's smoke, there's fire. And we've been seeing these Vini to Saudi links for time now. And I do believe that there is genuine interest from that country in this player. And they're going to be willing to spend a world record fee to sign him. I think right now, with the situation that's going on at the club, Vinicius currently only has 2 years left on his contract. And the reports have come out over the last few days saying that him and Real Madrid are nowhere near an extension. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I believe that Vinicius to Saudi Arabia is as close as it's ever been. So we got to talk about it. But I want you guys to let me know what you think the club should do. I personally do not want to sell Vinicius. I know a lot of you guys are going to get in the comment section and say that we need to sell him. But I think a lot of you guys have such short memories. Because he's had a poor second half of the season, everybody just wants him gone. We're going to just forget what he did in 23-24, what he did in 21-22. People are just so fast with moving on from these players that have helped us just because of a little bit of bad form. But nonetheless, let's argue in the comment section. Definitely let me know what your opinion is. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those post notifications. Let's get it. So Ben Jacobs dropped an absolute nuke on the timeline by revealing that Saudi are alert to Vinicius' situation and are prepared to make a world record bid. Here are some of the points that are outlined in the article that he dropped. The first one says, Vini Jr. said he wants to stay at Real Madrid. New deal not signed, but could be soon. Al-Ahli is the club in Saudi that he would be going to if the move does happen. And it says talks with Saudi for a year and door not shut to 1 day joining. Now, we're going to look at the article that he linked a little bit later, but let's just get into some of the tweets. Now, Saudi Arabia are ready to make a 350 million euro offer to Real Madrid for Vinicius Jr. this summer. The player says he wants to stay, but Saudi are feeling encouraged because he is yet to agree to a contract extension. And I think Saudi Arabia right now are genius for this timing. Because, in my opinion, Vinicius needs to stay. It's very obvious that the club want him to stay as well. This is why we're trying to extend his contract. Real Madrid do not generally lose players that they want to keep. But the money that Saudi is offering, I'm going to be so honest with you. If I was Vinicius, I'm probably taking that deal. We saw the reports way before. They're offering Vinicius 1 billion euros over 4 seasons, untaxed. They would be paying Vinicius 250 million per season. Do you know how ridiculous that is? Currently at Real Madrid, he's only on 20 million. So they would be able to times his salary by 10. He would make more money in 1 year in Saudi Arabia than he would or than he's made so far in his whole career. And I know that a lot of people get upset when players leave for money, but I think a lot of people are just idiotic. A lot of people don't like using real life common sense. This is these players' jobs. Let me ask you a question. For anybody that's watching that has a job, when you went to negotiate your salary, did you tell your job that you'll just take any money because you love working there? No. You want as much money as possible. So why is it that these players get vilified for wanting as much money as possible? Their careers are not guaranteed. Every time a player steps on the pitch, they risk getting an injury that can affect their career forever. So while they're in their primes, while they're still able to get on that pitch, they have to try to secure the bag. Now, there's so many different avenues that we can take this Vinicius story because there would be ripple effects if he does get sold. Now, let's talk about what's currently happening with him and Real Madrid because there are some tensions going on at the club. There is no agreement between Vini and Real Madrid on a contract extension. The player has been asking for a 30 million euro package, including salary plus his renewal bonus, for months now, and he's sticking to those demands. Negotiations have not advanced in the last months. Now, I definitely think that with Saudi Arabia offering Vinicius €1 billion, Real Madrid cannot match that. And every player in the world knows that the European teams cannot spend the money like they do in the Middle East. But if Vinicius wants to remain at a high level, right? If he wants to keep playing for the greatest club in history, he has to understand that his salary demands right now are not feasible. Now, I do believe that he will end up staying. I don't think Vinicius will leave us for Saudi Arabia. Now, again, the money that he'd be turning down is ridiculous. $250 million a year is generational kind of wealth. But at the same time, I view him as a player that is very ambitious, right? That still has things that he wants to prove. I believe he wants to win that Ballon d'Or. And Vinicius, from his own mouth, has said that he plans on making history at Real Madrid. This guy so far is only 24, 25 years old. He's arguably the most successful Brazilian that's ever played for our club. And if he continues on the path that he's been on, he will go down as a legend at Real Madrid. I think Vinicius needs to be a bit more realistic with his contract demands because he's coming off of a pretty shit season by his standards. So now to expect the club to give you the same money that Mbappe is getting, to me, is a bit ridiculous. Like, honestly, Mbappe is only getting paid $30 million a year because we signed him for free. When players join you as a free agent, they get higher wages because you didn't have to spend a lot of money to bring them in. You didn't have to go negotiate with their club. You didn't have to send them $100 million or whatever kind of offer. No. All that money is now there to be negotiated with. Vinicius needs to understand, bro. You were shit last season. Vinicius, does he deserve a pay rise? Yes. Because of what he's done for us, he does deserve an upgrade. But I think he has to meet Real Madrid in the middle. For people that are overreacting, this is how negotiations usually go. When you are getting your job, you ask for a certain amount of money. The company tells you whether they can do that or not. And then if they can't match the money that you want, you negotiate. It's very rare that you accept the first or even second offer. If somebody wants to buy your car, do you just accept the first offer that they put in? Unless it's a crazy offer that you never thought you'd get, more than likely, you're not going to just accept the first one. This is how real life works, people. Now, what I will say is that I think Real Madrid should give Vinicius a deadline because my man is entering 2 years left on his deal. And I would tell him that if you are not signed to a new deal by, let's say, August 1st, you will be forced out the club. Because I've always said before, if we get to next summer and Vinicius only has 1 year left on his contract, he needs to be sold. Facts. I'm not in the business of losing players for free. A guy like Vinicius can get us a world record bid. We can get damn near $400 million for Vinicius. So if he's not looking to sign a new deal, then go to Saudi. We could use that money and invest that into the team. But I think the club do have to play a bit of hardball here. I think Saudi Arabia are definitely in Vini's ear. I think they're definitely one of the reasons why he wants a lot more money. Because when you're looking at that Saudi offer, right, to turn down that kind of bread, you do want to get paid a lot more at Real Madrid. And I get it. But like I said, I just don't think the club wants to lose him. Whether people like it or not, Vinicius is a very important player. The fact that people have turned on this guy because of some poor form is ridiculous. Vinicius has already proven to us that he can be the main man while Real Madrid are winning the Champions League, winning La Liga, slapping up Barcelona. Let's not forget the 23-24 season. Vinicius, we don't win that UCL if it's not for him. Let's not act like he did not score a hat trick against Barcelona in the Spanish Super Cup final. Let's not act like we were not all twerking for this guy to win the Ballon d'Or just 7 months ago. But now because of Mbappe, he comes in. Carlo Ancelotti has no tactics. He looks poor the second half of the season, and now all of a sudden Vinicius is shit. Vinicius needs to be sold. Mbappe's way better. Let's not forget, Mbappe joined us the season after we won the UCL and La Liga and the Spanish Super Cup. Life was good before Mbappe got here. We were thriving. We were winning before Mbappe showed up. And now we're struggling. And everybody just wants to blame Vinicius, and he's the issue and he needs to leave. How fast you people forget. Now, I'm not one of these people that's Mbappe in or out, Vini in or out. They're both my players, and I want them to remain at the club. And I believe that Xabi Alonso will be able to find a system that gets the best out of both of them. But for the people that want one of these guys sold so fast, why not wait to see what happens? Like I said, I'm predicting that Xabi Alonso is able to make it work. And I'm also predicting that Vinicius stays at Real Madrid. I don't think at 24 he'd go to Saudi right now. If he does end up leaving, I won't blame him. That money that they're offering is ridiculous. The things that I would do for that kind of money, if I said it on camera, the FBI would come kick in my door right now. They would be waterboarding me in Guantanamo Bay. They would be housing me with the real criminals. You feel me? With the national threat level security criminals, okay? But it's going to be very interesting to see how these next few weeks play out. These Saudi rumors have been here for about a year now. And like I said, where there's smoke, there is fire. Now, I do just want to say this really quickly. I think Rodrigo is probably going to wait to see what happens with Vinicius. If he ends up going to Saudi, $350 million, world record fee, why would we sell Rodrigo? That now opens up a spot for him. So this could be very interesting, right? I don't think he's going to leave, but I definitely think there is a strong possibility that he does. Now, before we get on out of here, right, I just want to look at the article that Ben Jacobs did link. So let's just look at it. So it says, Saudi Chiefs line up world record bid for Real Madrid star over 100 million euros more than the Neymar fee. Now, let's not forget, right? Neymar, yeah, he is still the most expensive transfer of all time because Neymar, when he left Barca to go to PSG, I think his release clause was like 226 million, right? And I believe ever since PSG paid that Neymar deal, this is why you see everybody in Spain have a 1 billion release clause, because we know nobody's going to pay that money. But 200 million, yeah, teams will activate that real quick. PSG showed it. But yeah, I think Neymar to PSG is still the most expensive transfer. And then I think, is Mbappe the second when he went to PSG from Monaco? I think he might be. That's irrelevant though. Let's keep it going. So he says the Real Madrid winger has publicly stated he wants to stay at the Bernabeu and has been engaged in talks over a new contract. Yet nothing is signed and the parties are yet to reach a full agreement. Both Vinicius Jr. and Real Madrid they're understood to be calm about the situation, especially given the Brazilian's contract runs out in 2027. Saudi Pro League officials had felt in April that the 25-year-old might extend before the summer window opened, but have been encouraged by the lack of formalization on a new long-term contract. Talks with Vinicius about a Saudi switch have been ongoing for over a year, while senior Saudi executives have been trying to understand the right time to move. Again, the player only having 2 years left on his deal, this is generally where you do see players get sold. Teams do not like to let their star players run down to only have 12 months left on their contract. Because when you only have 12 months left on your contract, you can be bought for half the price, because now teams are desperate to get some money and they don't want to risk losing you for nothing. And again, I don't think, look, Real Madrid, we're in the business of taking your players for free, but we're not in the business of losing our star players for nothing. It goes on to say, there's a patient approach with a firm desire to land Vinicius within the next 3 years. The lack of progress over a new Real Madrid contract is not necessarily an indication one won't be signed soon, but Saudi Chiefs are prepared to make a world record offer in the region of 350 million euros, surpassing the 200 million PSG paid to Barcelona in August 2017. Well, that's 200 million pounds, but it was 226 million euros. Okay, anyways, let me see. Vini has been offered around 1 billion, including bonuses, across a 5-year. Yeah, that's fucking crazy, bro. Despite his clear preference to stay at Real Madrid, it's understood the door has been left up. Well, of course, if anybody's offering you 1 billion to do something over 5 years, to play football, and you're going to be like the best player in that league, of course you're not going to shut down that opportunity right now, right? I'm not saying that he takes it, but yeah, Vinicius is definitely interested. I think, but hopefully he views it like, look, that's something that I want to do in the future, not something that I want to do right now in the prime of my career. But look, guys, get in the comment section. Let me know what you're saying about Vinicius and the Saudi Arabia links. I know most of you guys are going to say to sell him, but if we do, what do you think the club should use that money for? Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those post notifications. Hala Madrid.